We are making one of my favorites today. This bacon onion jam recipe is so good. Crispy bacon with caramelized onions and some jammy sweet ingredients is the perfect topping for burgers, appetizers, and it's just so fun. Deliciousness. So the tricky thing about making homemade bacon onion jam is that you want the consistency to be spreadable. There are a few key things that you can do to make sure that your jam comes out to be perfectly spreadable so that you can use it all the ways you want. Let's get started. This is actually not that complicated of a recipe, so we're gonna go through the ingredients and the steps one by one. Our bacon. So I just took this out of the fridge just now because bacon is the easiest to cut the colder it is. We're gonna dice this up into small pieces. This recipe starts with a pound of bacon, and you can use whatever kind of bacon you want. Just a quick tip, if your bacon is hard to cut, use the heel of your knife to push through. When you're cutting it in the beginning, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be small pieces because we are going to give it a little chop or a little pulse in a food processor after we cook it to get the consistency exactly how we want it. All right, we are gonna cook our bacon in a heavy cast iron pan that is enameled. That's gonna help our ingredients not stick, but it's also going to help us manage the heat because it's nice heavy cast iron. So we're just gonna stir and cook the bacon until all the pieces break up and they are a nice light golden brown. We're gonna turn off the heat. We're gonna get our bacon out onto a plate lined with a paper towel because it will continue cooking and that will mess up the texture if it goes too far for our final bacon jam product. After that, I am going to remove all but 1 tablespoon of bacon fat from the pan so that we can get started on the next step, which will be caramelizing the onions. The next step is to add a tablespoon of unsalted butter to that bacon fat and set the heat again over medium. Then we're gonna add in a gigantic sweet onion that's been diced. It's gonna shrink and lose a lot of moisture over time, so we don't have to be too picky about the size of that dice, but we're gonna stir the onions around really well. They're gonna help us deglaze the pan and pick up any brown bits off the bottom. After that, we are gonna add in 1 clove of minced garlic and a teaspoon of fresh thyme that we picked the leaves off. You cannot rush this process though. It's gonna go low and slow. We need these onions to caramelize, so manage your heat and watch it over time. As you are cooking your onions, a couple things that are important. One, we really don't want the onions to get crispy. We want them to get soft. That's gonna help with that jammy consistency that we're looking for at the end of this. So it's got to go low and slow in order for for the onions to render out their sugars and build that up together. We are on our second layer of browning, which is super exciting. After about 20 to 30 minutes and the onions are super caramelized, we're gonna add a tablespoon of bourbon. This is of course optional, but if you're up for it, it really adds a nice layer of flavor. It helps deglaze the pan and it helps the sugars that have come out of the onions come together and thicken. Then we are gonna add in a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So this is gonna help with the body and obviously the sweetness, but mostly the body of our jam. So we're gonna stir that in with the onions really well. Everything's gonna bubble and get crazy hot, so you might need to lower your heat a little bit. And then while the onions cook with the maple syrup and all that, we're gonna pulse our bacon in a mini food processor. This also helps with the spreadable texture of our bacon jam. So you pop it in, give it a couple pulses until you have a pretty fine crumble on your little crispy bacon bits. Now we can add those bacon bits into our onion and sugary mixture here. Then you're gonna add in a tablespoon of water. That's gonna help everything come together. It's also gonna help the bacon soak back up some moisture. So it's not just crispy, it's gonna be a nice tender bite. Once you add the water in, stir it around, let it bubble and reduce. Then we're gonna repeat that process one more time. So we're gonna do 1 more tablespoon of water and then we're gonna stir it really well. We're gonna let that reduce and then we are gonna turn the heat all the way down to low. As this comes together, it will thicken, so don't be afraid. We're gonna add in 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. That brightness is just gonna break up the powerful sweetness that we get from all of these other, the sweet onions, the brown sugar, the maple syrup. It's going to cut through and balance out our jam so that it's not too strong one way or another. It has the texture and that caramelized jammy consistency that's wrapped around the bacon and the onions that I was hoping for. So I'm gonna hit it real quick with a little pepper and a little salt. Not much salt because obviously the bacon has plenty of salt. This is just kind of gonna round out the flavors. But now we get to let it cool so you see what it looks like when everything settles down and comes together. This is what the bacon jam looks like when it has cooled and totally come together. It's nice and spreadable and thick. I like to transfer it to an airtight container so I can store it in the fridge and use it whenever I want. These little jars are linked in the description below. And then when you want to reheat it, you can just take off the lid and pop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and stir it really well. It's going to be perfect and ready to use. So look at that. It is spreadable, it is thick, it is full of so much flavor. I like to make this specifically to put on cheeseburgers. This is an obscene amount that I'm putting on this cheeseburger, but I like it so much. It's also great on anything like grilled cheese, but you have to try it on a burger. Look at that. I have my burger. Now I get to take a bite with the bacon jam on it. If you want to make one thing that can make your entire meal special, this is it. A little bit of bacon onion jam just totally transforms like a regular day into a super special day. Good. I'm happy. You can store your bacon jam in the refrigerator for 5 to 7 days. One of the other ways I wanted to show you of how I like to serve it is with some smoked cream cheese. So I smoke this block of cream cheese out on my Traeger and then serve them side by side, or I put a bunch of the bacon jam directly on the top. But it is a absolutely dynamite combination. The warm, soft cream cheese with a big dollop of that bacon onion jam. It's sweet, it's savory, it's everything I want in a really good appetizer. It's good for your friends. All right. Thank you so much for watching. It is always a pleasure having you in my kitchen with me. I love sharing recipes like this that you can make for your family and for your friends, for special occasions, cookouts, whatever you're gonna do. So make sure you subscribe, come back and see me again. We'll cook more good food.